Some of the most passionate soccer fans in the Midwest hail from Central Missouri, and St. Louis FC is on a roll. Winning 3 of their last 4 matches, St. Louis is ready for a new opponent. Scintillating striker Sekou Kone and Bethlehem Steel open a 3-game road trip by coming to Fenton for their inaugural meeting. Kickoff next from Toyota Stadium. An absolutely perfect Sunday afternoon for soccer outside of St. Louis, where St. Louis FC and Bethlehem Steel FC are ready to tango for the first time ever. St. Louis making the move to the Eastern Conference after last season. So these two teams have never seen each other before, and there are playoff implications at stake because now the standings are starting to take shape. Both teams are vying for the top 8 places in the Eastern Conference. Alongside Lee Godfrey, I'm Brendan Gulick. Glad to have you on board here from Toyota Stadium. And we start by featuring our Bethlehem player of the game here, Sekou Kone, one of the hottest players in the league.
Yeah, fantastic start to the 2017 campaign. The Liberian international has appeared in every match this season for the Bethlehem Steel side, and he does lead the team with 6 goals. He is their main threat up top for Bethlehem today.
St. Louis will rely heavily on Christian Valesky. He is a tremendous young talent.
Yeah, he absolutely is. 4 goals, 1 assist, and 10 appearances this season. And he is a champion as well with that 2015 Rochester side.
Brought to you by Toyota here this afternoon. Christian Valesky, a guy that everybody across the league will have to find a way to mark up at the top of the formation.
Yeah, 4 goals this season, like we just said. And playing alongside Tyler David tonight, the attack will be tough for St. Louis FC.
Time to look at your Syberg's starting lineups, brought to you by the 11 Syberg's family of restaurants. We'll start with Bethlehem Steel.
And Bethlehem Steel, like we said, Sekou Kone, the lone striker in the 4-2-3-1 for Brendan Burke this afternoon. Jake McGuire getting the start in goal, a former U17 residency program player.
No Corey Burke, no Marcus Epps. A little different look for Bethlehem Steel today. St. Louis goes with a 4-4-2. They're pretty balanced.
Yeah, Devalagoric in goal for St. Louis FC tonight. Dragan Stoikov, watch for him kind of helping to run that midfield. And Tyler David and Christian Valesky are the top 2 for head coach Preki.
Well, St. Louis needs to get on a roll. They've played pretty well of late with results in 3 of their last 4, but in league play, it's time to get things moving in the right direction. Opening kick is right around the corner in St. Louis.
Stop living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/knee pain.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
With pre-collision system, lane departure alert, and more, Toyota Safety Sense is an advanced suite of active safety technology, now standard at no extra cost on 14 Toyota models. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Get 0% APR financing for 72 months on a new RAV4, or get $2,000 customer cash. Toyota, let's go places.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Stop living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/knee pain.
Just about ready for the opening kick. St. Louis and Bethlehem Steel in Fenton, Missouri, outside of St. Louis. Off we go with the home St. Louis FC in the green and blue and Bethlehem Steel in white. You joined us a little late alongside Lee Godfrey. I'm Brendan Gulick. Our kickoff temperature today, 91 degrees. It feels like 94. It's a very hot afternoon in the Midwest. At some point, you wonder, now that we're a good couple of months into the season, where the conditioning starts to come into play.
Yeah, and I think you could even add another 10 degrees to the actual current temperature. When you're field level on field pitch, those black little rubber balls underneath the fake grass, it certainly raises the temperature when you walk down to field level. It is a lot hotter for those players out there than the fans sitting in the stands.
Bethlehem, let's talk about them for a little bit here because we've hit mostly on St. Louis so far. Steel have had a pretty decent season, but what's really hurt them, Lee, they've given up late goals. Losing 3-2 against Rochester, giving up a goal in the 88th minute. They lost 3-2 at Harrisburg City, giving up a goal in the 90th minute. 3 different times this year they've allowed a goal in the last 15 minutes of regulation, and that's just not a winning recipe.
Yeah, no, it's not, and they are coming off that 1-1 draw against Ottawa where they had a penalty kick stopped and they scored the goal. They could have been up 2-0 early in that one, and they just let Ottawa stay in the game. They didn't have enough to be able to put that one away, where they dominated in possession. Ottawa was a tired team playing 4 matches in 15 days, and they had a big opportunity there to get 3 points before going on this 3-game road swing. So disappointing there. They need to be a little bit better, but it's got to be tough for Brendan Burke when you're affiliated with the MLS Philadelphia Union, and the consistency is so difficult to get in that starting 11. Players going up and down, and you don't have that when you do non-affiliated MLS clubs. So tough to have a consistent starting 11 where players have no tendencies and you can get into a rhythm. So they'd love to start this road swing off on a winning note.
Dragan Stoikov will take this free kick here for St. Louis. The right foot, a nice ball played into the box. Dangerous spot, low shot, the deflection still loose, and it rolls into the net. St. Louis in the 3rd minute with an opening goal. Put in by Tyler David.
Well, what a start for St. Louis FC. Angulo is sitting this game probably because of the U.S. Open Cup match, Chicago Fire, that they have to play. So Tyler David gets a start up top, and what a fantastic start. It was all off of that free kick by Stoikov.
Here's a replay of the St. Louis FC goal delivered by Domino's and Tyler David. Just a tremendous effort, sticking with it.
Yeah, that
made it happen.
Free kick sent into the box by Stoikov, and the rebound fell. It wasn't cleared by Bethlehem very well. Jake McGuire spilled out a rebound. It wasn't able to handle the shot, and it was tapped home by Tyler David, a Minneapolis, Minnesota native. Here's another look. There's that first shot, and McGuire making the stop, and then Tyler David tapping that one in, as it was not able to be cleared off the line in the end. So a perfect start for Preki and St. Louis this afternoon.
Ken Tribbett tried his best, and he did get a foot on it. Hard to know exactly where he was in reference to the end line, just based on our angle. But it was, again, that's just the kind of thing that can happen, especially early in the game when you're still trying to feel some things out. Every once in a while, you get a bad rebound, and that can make or break you for the rest of the game. The good news for Bethlehem is that it's so early, but St. Louis loves the fact that now they can kind of relax and just go out and play their game with an early lead.
Yeah, you still want to keep your foot on the pedal. You don't want to try to defend at this point in the game, that's for sure, and protect the lead. But Preki, we talked to him earlier this week about the team and the direction it's going. He's obviously upset about the scheduling that St. Louis has had to endure. A lot of that is not the league's fault whatsoever because of all the flooding and changing of their schedule, practice schedule as well, just finding a place to go and get the team together. Very frustrating. So now that the team is starting to play some more games, you can see it coming together. They were unlucky not to get 3 points 2 weeks ago in St. Petersburg, Florida against the Rowdies, a late equalizer in that game. They beat up on Toronto FC too. So things starting to go St. Louis's way, and as they start getting those games in hand and creating points, much better.
Tony Walls was the one that was banged up a little bit, and they are officially going to credit Ken Tribbett with the own goal instead of giving it to Tyler David. They said Tribbett did touch it before it crossed the end line. So an own goal for Bethlehem, but nevertheless a 1-0 lead for St. Louis. Find a little bit of an opening, slipping it up there, Stoikov. And that should stay with St. Louis FC. See James Chambers backpedaling there just in the middle of your screen with the black and orange cleats on. He is really the captain of Bethlehem Steel. You mentioned because so many of their players are fed up and down in the Philadelphia Union organization. He is one of the guys that truly has been a mainstay in the middle of the field for them, and his veteran presence makes a big difference.
Yeah, he has the all-time leader in appearances, starts, and minutes for this club. If there's one bit of consistency for Bethlehem, it is in their captain, James Chambers.
Joseph Samuel tried to get his head on it. So far, so good for St. Louis FC. Unfortunate foul on Sebastian Dalgard. Free kick coming. Looks like Chambers will take it. Apologize for the technical difficulties.
Might be a player down inside the 18-yard box on the St. Louis side. I think that's why the play was called what it was.
Don't want to speculate. There are a few different guys who have number 4 on there. Anyways, in the meantime, while we have a second, it's time for the Mercy Sports Medicine Injury Report. You see several guys missing from today's action. Who do you think is most impactful?
I think the one that is upsetting a coach the most would be Chris Wingate, the young player from the Bethlehem Steel. Brendan Burke has talked about how important he is, and at least as far as his future is concerned. I think that is one of the players that the Bethlehem Steel is looking at getting in this lineup, and as well to make that jump up at some point as far as being an up-and-coming player in Chris Wingate for the Bethlehem Steel. So consistently he's been out a little bit for the Bethlehem Steel, and looking for him to get back into the lineup within the next couple of weeks.
While we still have the attention being paid on the field to the injury, another look at some of the trends we're kind of following throughout the course of this game. St. Louis FC, albeit in 3 of those last 4 matches, while they have accumulated some points, 2 of those were in U.S. Open Cup games, and so they really need to get things rolling in the league, and they think today might be a good day to do that.
Yeah, and I think they will, just because the number of games that they're starting to play again. So
St. Louis with a 1-0 early lead. In the 9th minute of action here in the first half. Gorick decides to play it forward. You can really see how the wind is affecting that ball. That was a violent collision near midfield, but St. Louis FC will just roll the ball out of bounds while a couple of their players get banged up. Certainly nobody likes to see that.
Yeah, right at midfield, 2 members of St. Louis colliding, and this one does not look good right now. They would not like to make a substitution this early in the match. An injury substitution really changes what a coach is going to want to do technically and tactically moving forward. To have to do it this early kind of handcuffs the team at times, but for the luxury of St. Louis and for Preki that they do have the lead. And yeah, that's a big collision there.
Struggling. Stoikov been a big part of this game already for them. He's taken a couple free kicks and basically been all over the field for them.
Yeah, he really is that general in the midfield. Everything does seem to go through Stoikov for St. Louis. And the magic spray goes on there to see if he'll be able to walk this one off. He'll have to come off the field, and Preki will have to find out if he's able to continue in this match. As Preki, his first year as head coach here at St. Louis. He won an MLS Cup as a player with the Kansas City Wizards and coached Chivas USA and Toronto FC in Major League Soccer. He's a great player in his own right, representing the United States of America well. Had a big goal in a Gold Cup against Brazil, I remember, in a 1-0 lead or win for the U.S.
Well, and it's a great point of pride for him to be able to coach in St. Louis because he knows how rich the tradition of the sport is in the city.
Yeah, it is. When you talk about the roots of soccer in the U.S., St. Louis is right up there with it. A passionate and dedicated fan base. They give the winner to the NCAA Div 1 Best Player for Male and Female. The Mac Herman Award is awarded at the St. Louis, Missouri Athletic Club every year. I had the pleasure of being there quite a few years back. Maybe I'm aging myself now, but Christine Sinclair, the Canadian international female player, she won it 1 year as a member of the University of Portland Pilots.
Stoikov sure got to his feet quickly after the injury a moment ago. Seems to be okay.
Well, good for him, too. And you know when you collide with your own player, it's not like you're faking an injury at that point. So,
magic spray had the magic touch after all. St. Louis with an early lead thanks to an own goal. Deflected off of Ken Tribbett and sort of a deflection around the net. It was a ball that Jake McGuire in goal had a chance to pick up cleanly, and when he didn't get his hands on it okay, kind of rolled back out to 2 or 3 different players. Tyler David was certainly one of them. David was the one that kind of flung it off of Tribbett, and then it deflected into the goal. So
yeah, tough.
Some madness, but an early third-minute goal anyways.
Tough for Tribbett. I'm not sure if the own goal is very fair or not. I don't know if it crossed the line already by the time he tried to clear it off the line. Not much he could really do there, and you're right, that play all did transpire from McGuire not handling that second shot after that free kick from Stoikov was sent into the box.
Keep your eye on how the wind is playing a significant factor in this first half too. From your vantage point looking at the game, it's blowing hard right to left. And anytime a ball is kicked up in the air by one of the St. Louis players, you can tell it really just dies. On the other side, Bethlehem's getting a lot more carry on it. So certainly something to watch here in the opening half.
Yeah, you're going to have to make sure that you are aware of that and that you're not just skying balls and floating them up in there without getting anything behind them instead of those low-driven balls that you want to send into the area.
In the meantime, we haven't seen much of Sekou Kone yet. We talked about him in the pregame. He is the franchise all-time leading scorer. He leads the team with 6 goals this year. That's actually a season record for a Bethlehem Steel player. You can see on that particular play just how much the wind affected the ball playing straight up there. Sekou Kone will be at the very top of the formation offensively. Bethlehem hasn't really mounted any real opportunity yet. Joseph Samuel playing out on the left. Adam Najim and Chris Nanko rounding out the group of midfielders right behind him. You can see a couple looks at the flags there. I mean, 15 to 20 mile an hour consistent breeze, and when it's nice and open, there's no trees to knock it down, no tall buildings to knock it down. It feels like it's a lot stronger than that.
Yeah, and you can see that's probably why as well as St. Louis winning the coin toss, they decided to go into the wind the first half, and it's even better that they get the goal because they want that second half to be going with the wind. So they have the luxury of scoring a goal, and they are going to have the wind with them in the second 45.
Charlie Raymond just threw that in. He's making his first professional start today, only his second career appearance at the professional level. And a couple of guys missing for Bethlehem. Corey Burke was called up to the Jamaican national team. Marcus Epps and Mark McKenzie both not in the starting lineup, so a different look for Bethlehem, but 4-6-1 is their tally on the year in league play. A win today for them could put them up into 6th place. They've got 13 points for now and hoping to steal some on the road.
Yeah,
got some work to do though.
Sorry, Brendan, that really does hurt Bethlehem on the outside. And you're missing Burke on that left-hand side, Epps on the right. It's going to be very difficult for new players to come into that role and really try to get Kone involved up top.
That was a great save by Kone to keep that ball in play. Bethlehem having trouble just getting into the rhythm of things on the offensive end. St. Louis got a goal in the 3rd minute. That was nicely deflected defensively. Almost a quarter hour into the game. And St. Louis FC is able to keep things out of at least imminent danger. See what St. Louis can muster up here with Stoikov healthily giving it up the right side. This is Wes Sharpie, the defender, pressing up. And Howell clears it over to the far side. Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. You can tune in to USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM FC Channel 85. Don't forget, too, that they will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check USLsoccer.com for dates and for times. Bethlehem's defense has tightened up a little bit, and they've possessed the ball more here over the last, let's say, 7 or 8 minutes. They haven't really gotten any good, clean looks into the heart of the field yet. Credit the St. Louis defensive back four with shoring things up.
Yeah, the game's starting to settle in a little bit more. Bethlehem Steel, unfortunately for them, unable to weather that early storm from St. Louis. You always know that the home team's going to come out hard and strong the first 10-15 minutes or so, and once you can get through that, then the game does start to settle into it. So St. Louis, though, taking full advantage of that early blast, being that home side coming back home and trying to earn the full 3.
Joseph Samuel had his legs tangled up underneath him a couple of different times. A very late whistle leaves the St. Louis defense less than pleased.
Now, Preki not happy with that whatsoever. Stoikov having a word with the referee as well.
Stoikov was kind of in the middle of things yet again, and so a big early test now for David Agoric. Kone standing over the ball along with James Chambers. Let's see what kind of wall St. Louis FC can build up here.
Oh, in the run of play, Kone scored a beautiful goal last Sunday versus Ottawa. Now he's got one from the free kick situation. We'll have to see here as St. Louis setting up a 5-man wall. If he's able to get that up and over and down.
Chambers hits it off the wall. It was not well executed.
No, it almost looked like Chambers slipped right before he made contact with that ball, so a poor free kick by Bethlehem there.
Joseph Samuel trips over his own foot and the ball and loses possession for a moment. Samuel tries to chest it down in the midfield, and instead it was Amir Alihadzic that kept it alive there for St. Louis. Tyler David sends it to the far side, and we'll see if this is how St. Louis can get things rolling. The other name we haven't really said at all the whole game, Christian Valesky. Hasn't really been a part of the action too much yet. He was certainly in the area when that goal was scored, but other than glancing off of his foot, didn't really have much to do with it. Got a hard foul there.
There's still lots of time for him to get involved in this game, and we'll have to see how much the heat does play a factor and fatigue setting in, and if St. Louis, being that home side, is able to take advantage of that. Both these teams, when you look at this matchup, 10th in the East is St. Louis, 11th for Bethlehem. They're both looking for full 3 points in this one to try to get back into that top 8 and to get into a playoff position.
Stoikov did a good job staying on his feet there despite some pretty physical play from Chambers. Let's see if St. Louis can pick up something here offensively. Over the outside, Dahlgaard lays it off. Valesky hanging out top of the box. One-touch pass to Tyler David. David thinks better of it than forcing it. Up to the top. Dahlgaard can't get a clean look. Bethlehem closes the door before St. Louis could pull the trigger. Dahlgaard still Lets it go, and it deflects off of a Bethlehem Steel defender. Kept alive on the far side. Good footwork. They'll change sides of the pitch. That's Sharpie to initiate things. Sharpie with a great crossover. And back to the other side. Nike's an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com.
Watch for Wes Sharpie at the bottom of your screen to get involved and push up offensively.
Dalgard looking for Voleski. Rolls away harmlessly. There's it back to the outside. Conrad Pleva. Rather, beg your pardon, that's Ryan Howell. And a sloppy turnover. The fans certainly appreciate the effort, though a foul will be whistled there. That one will go on Alihazic.
Well, a good step up there defensively by St. Louis. You can see at being at home that they are closing down Bethlehem pretty quick, and they're playing a pretty high line defensively. So they are really forcing Bethlehem back, and the only way that Bethlehem is going to be able to kind of get around that is try to get something going on the counterattack or play a little bit more direct and over the top of that line and try to keep your forward in Sekou Kone on side. Just to, they're playing that trap. You've got to time your runs very well if you want to get by that back line.
Done by Raymond. Chambers able to beat Walls off the dribble. Chambers gets it back and unleashes a little too tall. The wind at his back that might have floated a little bit, but still not struck quite well enough.
Good idea, though, by Bethlehem. He did find a little bit of space there in the midfield. Some good passing. So look at Burke, the head coach of Bethlehem Steel. He was the assistant for quite a few years at the big club, MLS, the Philadelphia Union.
St. Louis got a goal in the 3rd minute in a chaotic scenario, but they'll take the 1-0 lead so far. Bethlehem trying to vie for the offensive possession. St. Louis has outpossessed them by a pretty good margin. Bethlehem the last couple of minutes have had better opportunities. Quick touches, turns it over. Samuel with it. Kone leads back to Chambers. Chris Nenko on the far side of the field. A dangerous scorer. Feeds to the top of the box. Nenko plays it back in. Pleva steps in front. This is Aaron Jones who's pressing up. Sekou Kone was knocked over and not fouled, apparently.
He certainly was looking for it, and that was some better soccer that we've seen this match by Bethlehem, and being able to string together 4 or 5 passes going from left to right and moving around that back line of St. Louis.
St. Louis has done a better job possessing the ball, especially in the midfield. That's where Bethlehem has kind of struggled. They just haven't done enough to string things together. Perhaps something here as Voleski races after it. He's got Hugh Roberts all over him, though. Well, the USL is one of the most prominent second division professional leagues in the world, featuring some of the game's top talent and rising stars. Stay up to date with all the latest league news and information by visiting USLsoccer.com and following them on Twitter @USL. Speaking of the game's top talent, Didier Drogba made his USL debut last night for Phoenix Rising. He scored in the 40th minute. He assisted on a goal from Sean Wright-Phillips. In head coach Patrice Carteron's debut, everything went Phoenix's way. They walked away with 3 points, beating Vancouver at home 2-1.
Drogba still a very exciting player. Coming over from England, obviously, the legend at Chelsea, and then making his MLS debut with the Montreal Impact, and now moving over to the United Soccer League. The fans there ecstatic about his debut.
It took him about 7 months to get into real match shape. He came to Phoenix in about mid-April. It was like April 12th, somewhere in that ballpark. Made his debut last night in front of over 7,000, a record attendance down in Phoenix. Good ball played into the middle, headed clear, still with St. Louis. Another low pass that was deflected away, and thought maybe for a moment he might get a clean shot on.
That was Stoikov that ball fell to in the box, and he kind of just whiffed on it. But some poor defending by Bethlehem Steel in that area, where they just have to clear that ball out better than they are so far in the first 25 minutes of this match.
Stoikov sure is playing like his hair's on fire. He gets involved in another tangle. That time he's called for the foul. I beg your pardon. The foul goes on Bethlehem. He drew it, even though he was the one that kind of fell around and undercut Bethlehem Steel's Charlie Raymond. And by whatever he can.
You can still see he's favoring that knee from that earlier collision. Bending down and trying to stretch it out. We'll see if he can continue to do as many minutes as he would like to in this match, or if that's going to tighten up a lot and force Precky's hand to make a change in that midfield. But so far, Stoikov getting involved a lot, both offensively and defensively for St. Louis.
Amir Alihadzic on the replay. St. Louis kind of feeling things around. They've got the 1-0 lead here in the 27th minute of our match. Bethlehem Steel coming in 4-6-1, 13 points for them. They've played 11 games. St. Louis has only played 10 games. They have 15 points. They're in 10th place right now, Lee, but a win today, they move up to 4th in the division, at least with the way the division was structured at the start of the day. So a win at home for St. Louis, where they've been good this year, and certainly helped their cause in a big way. And obviously, with all that's happened, with all of the flooding, it almost feels like just a breath of fresh air to see them playing back on their home field.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's in fantastic shape from what we saw in the pictures, that you're at this point today, all the fans of the club, and it looks like they've come out in good support this afternoon for them. A beautiful day to watch a game, and to not see that water that was there earlier in the year is great for the team, and I think that really will give these guys a boost moving forward with those games in hand, and try to take full advantage of what they can do to move up the standings.
Sharpie in the corner. Finds Stoikov, who right foots it. And maybe the wind altered the trajectory of the ball just a little bit. Not a bad idea, looking for the upper left 90, but couldn't quite find it.
Just a little underneath that one from Stoikov. Like I said before, you'll see Wes Sharpie get involved on that right-hand side coming forward. The former USF Bull was drafted in the 2015 MLS Super Draft, 29th overall by Toronto FC.
USF has turned out some pretty good players over the years. Nazim Bartman playing for Vancouver right now. Marcus Epps also on this team, a former USF Bull. It's been a strong program in major Division I college soccer, currently in the American Athletic Conference. St. Louis on top, 1-0. Just a little over midway through our first half. Hard contact on the far side and a foul call. Just to wrap up the thought we were addressing earlier, I'm sure there are still parts of the community recovering from the major flooding from really just over a month ago. There's some pictures up on Twitter if you're not a closely following fan of the team. Some pictures on Twitter from what the stadium looked like just in early May, first few days of May, and really not just the stadium but the entire complex surrounding this pitch. And all that's gone on over the last month to get the field back to playing form, and obviously it wasn't just soccer that was affected, it was the community as a whole, and our thoughts go out to all who are affected by that flooding, and hopes for a full recovery soon.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why it's great to see soccer back here. It gives people, the fans, an escape from reality that they can come for 90 minutes and enjoy an afternoon.
A quick shot and a great looking strike. Ken Tribbett, though, just a little off to the left.
Yeah, Tribbett trying to atone for his own goal earlier in this match. He's able to find some space there on that left-hand side at the top of the box, and he cracks it with his left foot, but it just always is spinning the wrong way as he hit that with the outside of his foot, so it was always going from right to left, and that goes wide right of Gorick. It's one of the best opportunities so far in this first half by Bethlehem.
Nice little work there. Samuel finds Kone. Joseph Samuel tried to keep it. Play on. And here comes a yellow card. Wow. That's not exactly what Amir Alihadze had in mind.
The referee allowed advantage after the first collision to see what would happen, and it was a really bad pass afterwards that ensued, so the whistle was blown. And
it was a lightning quick booking. I mean, maybe just to my naked eye, I didn't see it. Did you see what happened that deserved such a quick trigger?
It looked like he was just manning up, and it was the collision itself.
That one played a little too high and left. Not a bad look, though.
Well, this time, instead of Chambers taking that one, Kone from distance.
The strike from Kone. Pretty close to being exactly where he wanted it.
And without the wind, it may have been. I think that's a part that ball just had a little bit more distance right now. And now you talk about the temperatures out there, and because of it, they're being allowed to take the heat break and have the players come in and get water.
98 degrees last night in Phoenix at the start of that game, but everybody said, oh, it's a driver. 98 degrees is 98 degrees, no matter how you classify it. Well, some looks here at how this game is shaken out so far, including a goal in the 3rd minute that just kind of snuck its way into that and gave St. Louis an early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, it's not how you draw these one up, but St. Louis will take it for sure. The shot there is garbled up, and the rebound, and yeah, I guess it did kind of hit Tribbett, and he did push that into the goal to allow it to be the own goal, but it's McGuire right there, a rebound, a big one, and not much Tribbett could do there. He was able to, that ball was spinning, and when he made contact with it, and he couldn't make full contact with it, it ends up going off his foot and into the goal to give St. Louis that early lead.
Well, his teammates celebrated like Tyler David did all the dirty work, and as it turned out, he wasn't even credited with the goal. Look at a hard collision here as Joseph Samuel has found himself really racing after the ball all first half. That one beat up walls a little bit. But St. Louis just continued to pepper things over and over again, and they had a little chippiness themselves.
Yeah, great tackle here, though, and Forsythe to come up from that back line position. That's what I'm talking about, that high line that St. Louis has played early here, and so far it's been successful. The really only opportunities that Bethlehem have had is on those free kick opportunities, set pieces.
Both these teams have really had to fight for what they've wanted here in the first half, and you almost wonder how much of that could be frustration on Bethlehem's part just by having a tough break early on. This was a great look by Tribbett, but he just missed it. And then a moment ago on the set piece, Sekou Kone just missed on his free kick, so maybe things are starting to get back in their favor.
Yeah, it is a little bit, and that's what St. Louis has to be a little bit concerned about, is that you don't want to give Bethlehem those set pieces in dangerous areas, despite the fact that St. Louis, so far has been the better team on the day. Bethlehem has been coming on a little bit after that early possession by St. Louis. Bethlehem seemed to be having a little bit more confidence, building a little bit more out of the back, and have had the last couple of opportunities. Really beyond that own goal early, St. Louis really hasn't tested McGuire again.
classified only as one additional shot from that point on. No dangerous play called. By the way, just again to reiterate how windy it is, you saw that goal kick barely reached halfway to midfield. Meanwhile, it was sort of clumsy, but Bethlehem will get away with it. Lee, you've had a chance to see Bethlehem a couple of times this year. How much in your mind is the absence of Corey Burke hurting their offensive attack?
I think what it does, and with Epps as well, I think it really is taking away from that wide play up the flanks. You're not seeing those type of runs that you're used to seeing up the left and right-hand side. And really, we haven't even said Najim's name very much either in the middle. So, you know, that playoff of Kone and Najim really hasn't happened because you don't have those the flank players getting involved in the play right now. It's very tough to, you know, a big part of the game is crosses into the box and being able to spread it out wide and whip those back in. And we haven't seen that so far in the first 35 minutes for Bethlehem.
Oleski had a good chance there, but kind of let it fall by the wayside, and St. Louis will reset things. Well, fans, you can stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from all around the league by tuning into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM-FC Channel 85. Don't forget they will also air the game of the week. Check USLsoccer.com for dates and times for those games. St. Louis with a 1-0 lead thanks to a goal in the 3rd minute, officially credited as an own goal on Ken Tribbett. Tyler David was right in the area as Stoikov races after this one. Because it's into the wind, it helps check up down in that corner. Wes Sharpie plays it across. Ali Hadzic. Sebastian Dalgar. Feeds it over to Sharpie. Stoikov. Nice little 1-2 touch. Sharpie across the middle, but waiting for it. Jake McGuire picks it up okay.
Good movement on that right-hand side. Again, great interplay between Stoikov and Wes Sharpie. A nice little 1-2 passing and not a bad cross into the box, but like you said, Jake McGuire anticipating that play well, and Christian Volesky was just a little bit in behind that play. Didn't quite get up to the 6-yard box to have an opportunity to slide in there and get a foot on it.
Boy, Chris Nanko went flying through and trying to catch up to that one. Thankfully for St. Louis, Gorick came all the way out to grab it. Nike's an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com. You tuned in late alongside Lee Godfrey. I'm Brendan Gulick. We are at Toyota Stadium, where St. Louis is trying to defend their home field and draw points for the 4th time in their last 5 matches, although 2 of those wins came in U.S. Open Cup play. They have moved to the 4th round of the U.S. Open Cup, and they'll take on the Chicago Fire later this week. That game set for June 14th at 7 p.m. with the Major League Soccer Chicago Fire coming to town. A big chance here. David sends it forward, but I think the flag went up. It's a tough break for St. Louis. They really had something cooking.
Yeah, tough one there. And unless it was that pass out to the left-hand side that the flag went up, I didn't see an offside beforehand. It definitely wasn't Tyler David because the ball was kicked back to him, and Volesky appeared to be in an onside position too, even though he got a foot on it. Going to be a big challenge for St. Louis in that U.S. Open Cup match against Chicago Fire. What an improvement by the Fire this year in Major League Soccer. A real dark horse. I covered them at IMG Academy in Florida in preseason, and they had games against St. Louis. in that preseason, and that was well before Bastian Schweinsteiger had joined the side, and they still look very impressive. A lot of high hopes for that club, and I think they find themselves in second spot right now in MLS East, only behind Toronto FC, so a real turnaround season for the Fire, and they're probably hoping to do well and go far into the U.S. Open Cup as well.
Well, of course, there's a lot of familiarity between St. Louis and Chicago because they were affiliates for the first couple of years of St. Louis's existence, but agreed to mutually part ways at the beginning of this year. It looked like Bethlehem may have had a real chance there, and just one poor pass kind of squashes the whole sequence.
Yeah, Samuel had the ball there, and just to, you have to make your decisions a little bit faster there. It would have been nice to see an overlapping run by the left back to give him something and some speed along that flank, but no one made that run, so Samuel had to stop, and he ends up giving the ball away.
Wes Sharpie gives it back. Walls to the middle. Ali Hodzic gets it back on a 1-2. Ryan Howe feeds it in. Delgard makes the move. Played back into the middle. It's still alive, even though it nearly looked like it crossed the end line. And Tyler David, frustrated with himself for not finishing. Bethlehem, I don't want to say they gave up on the play, but maybe for that split second they thought it was over. Wow, tough break. Well, be sure to visit one of the 7 local St. Louis area Toyota dealers, maybe after the game today.
Yeah, it did appear that ball had gone over the end line, and I think it may have surprised Tyler David as well. I think he just kind of paused, and that's why he wasn't ready for that one, so he ends up leaning back and getting underneath that ball instead of really coming onto it and cracking it, getting over top of it and keeping it down.
St. Louis leads the game 1-0 on a third-minute goal. Technically classified as an own goal, but Tyler David was right there and put it off of Ken Tribbett before it deflected into the net. Bethlehem has shored things up for the most part defensively, but St. Louis the last 10 minutes has really got some offense underneath them, starting to mount some pressure more consistently. Foul called, and we may see a booking coming here.
Oh, this temperature out there and field turf, if you're not used to it, it really, in these type of conditions, it slows the game down. The ball just doesn't move through this type of surface when it's this hot. And they would love to be able to get out and water this pitch at halftime just to make it a little bit more slick so you can whip those passes along. But right now, it's like trying to push that ball through mashed potatoes. It just it slows right down. There's really not a lot of pace that you can get on any of these passes, so it makes it difficult for any team that has pace.
A trip in the box, play on is whistled. Still a chance, played toward David on the back post. It was almost another own goal. Raymond was there, and the way he chested the ball down, I thought it was deflecting inward. Fortuitous break. Wells looking for the middle. Valesky! It deflects in, but I think the offside flag went up.
Well, Valesky has to be upset about that because he's looking and trying to figure out how he was offside. And look here, and that to me is a penalty kick. There is a lot of contact. There's Aaron Jones getting his foot in there, and the referee right there waving it off, but he stuck his foot in there unless he did get a piece of that ball first. Very close to being a penalty kick. And then on that next opportunity, I'm kind of surprised that the flag went up. And that's twice now balls have gone in on the flag that the players really didn't stop yet. And I think Jake McGuire is very shaky in goal on those that were called offside because they didn't know the flag was offside until that ball went in the back of the net. Looked very shaky in goal.
It's as if he's been holding his breath, no doubt. Inching our way closer to halftime, another collision. Sekou Kone taken down. Although it appears that St. Louis's Wes Sharpie may have taken more of the brunt of that blow. Christian Valesky was whistled offsides. Here's another look at it.
Here's the ball here. Watch the time. He's onside. He took a step back. That ball's already way, but when that ball left the foot, he's onside. That's a tough call for Valesky. When that ball left the foot, he was on top of that 18-yard box and on the correct side of that last defender.
Well, sometimes you can't control bad breaks. Throughout the course of the season, everybody tends to get those along the way. Waiting to see how much stoppage time will be added. Of course, they had that mandated water break about 15 minutes ago. Good ball played toward the back post, but too much put on it. So we anticipate probably 3 to 4 minutes, somewhere in that ballpark, that will be added on. St. Louis with a 1-0 lead as we end, or I should say close in on the end of the first half. Officially 4 minutes added on. Stoppage time brought to you by Hot Shots. Be sure to visit one of the 12 local Hot Shots locations after the match. Ball sent away. And the whistle gives it back to St. Louis.
Oh, and St. Louis has got that ball into the final third. They've looked pretty good. They've created some chances, and Brendan Burke is going to have to go into halftime and get this team to play better defensively. They've looked sloppy. They've given up way too much space in the 18 and allowed plays to develop. Valesky, in my mind, should have had his 5th goal of the season. That was onside when he started to make that run forward. And it could be 2, possibly 3-0 right now for St. Louis. Only one real shot, maybe 2 at best from Bethlehem that they can't get on the face of goal in the run of play. There are other opportunities coming off of set pieces. And with that said, you take the positive out of that. It's only 1-0, that you can go into the break and say, guys, despite the way that we played in this first 45 minutes, let's go out and correct the issues that we had in the first. And you nick one and you're right back into this of trying to at least steal a point on the road in game 1 of this 3-game road trip for Bethlehem.
Stoikov pulls it away. He was able to keep it in bounds just long enough. Meanwhile, Austin Trusty hasn't touched it too much here in the first half. Kone had that extra step on Tony Walls for just a moment. About halfway through our stoppage time. Bethlehem looking for an equalizer. And unfortunately, unable to keep that one in bounds. Looking forward to our halftime report coming up. Halftime brought to you by Hollywood Casino. We'll have that coming for you shortly. St. Louis, on top of the fact that they lead 1-0, this has kind of been a roller coaster ride in this first half. There's times where St. Louis probably feels fortunate to have a 1-0 lead. There's been times where they probably feel like it should be more than that.
Yeah, Bethlehem in this area, has done well passing and keeping possession. It's just that lack of quality in the final third. What are you going to do when you get it around the box? You need to get more crosses in or go through the middle, a quick 1-2, and try to, get through that back line of St. Louis, and they have not been able to do that.
Kone, you could just tell he really wanted to rip one from out there. Couldn't find the opening. So instead to the other side now. Good footwork there. That was Najim, and he turns it over. Former Akron Zip turns it over in a bad spot. St. Louis, perhaps one last charge here in the first half. Aaron Jones tries to close off defensively. Sharpie plays it back over. Stoikov deflects it out of bounds. Nanko nearly tripped over his own 2 feet, nevertheless keeps the ball. And there is the halftime whistle. St. Louis scores the only goal of the first half, and it comes in the 3rd minute, which probably leaves Jake McGuire just shaking his head as he goes to the locker room. Both teams with some things to work on. Certainly the wind and the heat playing a factor here this afternoon, but all things told, not a bad first 45 minutes. Halftime brought to you by Hollywood Casino. We'll have a halftime report coming up for you shortly here from St. Louis.
Stop living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/knee pain.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino, St. Louis.
With pre-collision system, lane departure alert, and more. Toyota Safety Sense is an advanced suite of active safety technology, now standard at no extra cost on 14 Toyota models. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Get 0% APR financing for 72 months on a new RAV4, or get $2,000 customer cash. Toyota, let's go places.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Cheers. Take time to be a dad today.
Stop living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/knee pain.
St. Louis 1, Bethlehem Steel nothing at the intermission. It is a halftime brought to you by Hollywood Casino, and we will throw it here to our Hollywood Casino halftime feature.
Hi, I'm Ashley Anton here at Mission Taco, and we are going to find about more of your players. I've got Jose and Amir here. Jose, are you ready?
Ready.
Amir, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, first question, gentlemen. What is in your playlist in your car right now?
A lot of hip hop, a lot of old school hip hop, but also been listening to the new Drake album, so more life. So it's good.
What's some old school stuff? Give me an idea.
Ooh, a lot of see, I'm from like North Jersey, New York area, so I'm on like Nas, Biggie, Mobb Deep, that type of music.
All right, very good.
Same as him, but I also like 50 Cent. But I also listen to a lot of Bosnian music where I'm from, so that's a little different from him. But everything else is the same.
Have you been able to turn any of your friends and the teammates on any kind of Bosnian music that they might not have heard before?
A lot of players here, like 4 or 5 players are from the same place as me, so we kind of listen to the same music, but other than that, not really.
Okay, so tell me, where do you guys see yourself 10 years from now? Where are you living? What are you doing?
Hopefully in Europe, playing soccer somewhere in Europe over there, close to my home country, or my. I always wanted to go to Germany and play soccer there and live there, so hopefully it works out.
Hopefully he's still playing, but it'll be tough almost at 40. But it's just involved in a sport. I mean, that's all I know. So, I mean, involved in the sport somehow.
Last question. One celebrity or athlete that you would want to meet. Who is it? And what would you say to them if you met them?
Go for
okay.
I think I want to meet, I was a big fan of Michael Jordan. I think meeting Michael Jordan would be cool, just to pick his brain and ask him just to see how his mind was when he was younger in his prime. You know, I would like to ask him how he felt and what got him to that level.
Okay, good.
For me, it would be Michael Ballack. He was one of my favorite players. He's retired now. When I was young, he played for Germany, played for some of my favorite teams, Bayern. I just wanted to, I would talk to him about his career, what he had to do since I'm a young player right now, and just what he had to overcome to get there and stuff like that.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for showing your fans a little bit about who you guys are.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. At work or at play, you're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Oh, hey. She's cute. Nice going, man. Things are going great for you. You've earned a night out. Good drinks, good friends. Yeah, we can go ahead and call this a good night. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Not smart. Yeah, I saw that coming. Say goodbye to her. Ouch, that'll hurt your bank account. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. I hope you like eating frozen dinners. Alone. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
We've raised the stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
St. Louis on an own goal with a 1-0 lead at halftime. More of the Hollywood Casino halftime report when we come back with stats and highlights after this.
Stop living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/knee pain.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino, St. Louis.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
With pre-collision system, lane departure alert, and more, Toyota Safety Sense is an advanced suite of active safety technology, now standard at no extra cost on 14 Toyota models. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Get 0% APR financing for 72 months on a new RAV4, or get $2,000 customer cash. Toyota, let's go places.
Stop living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/knee pain.
1-0 St. Louis over Bethlehem Steel in the first ever meeting between these two teams. A lot of sunshine being caught in the stands during our Hollywood Casino halftime. Love the design on the side of that drum. It's pretty cool. How about some first half highlights? Here is we really had a very early highlight, and then after that we just had some run of play, really.
Yeah, it's a hot one in St. Louis today, and it all started off the Stoikov free kick. And there you see the shot taken, and it was wafted on by McGuire. It looked like Tyler David got a piece of it, but it is Ken Tribbett who's trying to clear it, ends it, putting it in his own goal, and he is charged with that own goal. 1-0 St. Louis very early in this one. Perfect start for the home side.
Every time you get out in a day like this, especially in St. Louis, given all that's going on lately, there's going to be some nervous energy here and there, and you thought maybe the way that the rhythm of the early part of this game had fared out, we might see a couple of mistakes that would lead to goals, but it just never panned out. This was one of the two really good looks that Bethlehem had in the first half.
Yeah, and that's from outside, and that's Tribbett trying to make atone for his own goal, but really anything outside like that, I wouldn't expect Gorick to have any problem. Look to be tracking that. A couple of cards, a little bit of physical play in the first 45, and a lot of it, as Kone puts this one up and over the bar, a lot of it played box to box. I don't think any team has really shown any domination, and we'll probably see that when we see these stats.
We haven't had one corner kick all game long. That probably speaks to that. Your first half numbers, what stands out to you?
Really the lack of a lot of things in this one. The offsides hurt, I think, St. Louis the most in this one, especially because I thought they had a good goal called back, so that is something that stands out in that first half, where I think it could be 2-0 St. Louis right now. But you look at the shots, and you look at the shots on target, really not a lot happening offensively for either side, so maybe that is something that both coaches are going to address talking to their teams at halftime.
Take a look at the upcoming schedule here for Bethlehem Steel. It's a team that at times has played pretty well, but They're basically in a tough stretch now, 3 games in a row on the road. Maybe they're hoping they can go up to New York and steal one after the Red Bulls, 2 dropped one here earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, Louisville winning 3-0 and only now a point back of the Rowdies in the standings in the East in 3rd spot. So but a tough road trip before they play a couple of games at home. But playing the Red Bulls too within a quick period of time, it's really good to see the rivalries.
They also owe Harrisburg one after giving up a 90th minute goal in their last matchup. Meanwhile, on the St. Louis side, they're going to go play at FC Cincinnati, which is becoming one of the premier venues all across the league. They draw nearly 20,000 fans a game. Cincinnati will be riding high in their minds, coming off of a U.S. Open Cup appearance against the Columbus Crew.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. But a difficult schedule for Preki when you look at those next 3 games against tough opponents. Now that they are getting into more of a rhythm, playing regular games, I think this will be a very big determining factor of where this team is going to be throughout the rest of the season and how competitive they're going to be in fighting to be one of the top clubs in the USL East.
Here come your standings. First on the Eastern Conference side as things got underway today. But again, Louisville City with a big win. They moved up into 2nd place. Or I should say, beg your pardon, they move up 3rd place, but 1 point behind.
Yeah, they're on 22 points now after that win over New York Red Bulls 2 today. This is going into the day. And there you see St. Louis FC right now, 10 place right now, and they might be able to bump up into that top 8.
Meanwhile, on the western side of things, everybody is really chasing the top 2 teams. The Monarchs with another great win last night. San Antonio, the only team that hasn't lost a game all year.
Yeah, and for people that say that the MLS-affiliated sides aren't competitive in this league, there you have Real Monarchs look at Seattle Sounders 2, Vancouver Whitecaps 2, just trying to get into the playoffs. It really is, you know, when you look at a Toronto FC 2, they're the ones that are really struggling in USL, but for the rest, putting out competitive sides, and it is about winning. It is about not just about competing, but a lot of these sides take this seriously, and you look at the defending champions in New York Red Bulls too. So a lot of competitive sides that have affiliations with Major League Soccer.
A big change of direction here in the second half. These 2 teams switch sides of the field, and that strong wind remains blowing from right to left as you see it here on your screen. And now St. Louis will have that at their back after scoring 3 minutes into the game. Halftime's over. We're ready to go here for half number 2. Alongside Lee Godfrey, I'm Brendan Gulick. Thanks for making us a part of your Sunday afternoon. It's the first Sunday home game of the year for St. Louis. And by all accounts, it seems like it's been pretty well attended. Those sunscreen and water bottles probably outnumber the patrons that have decided to come out and watch.
I'd like to see St. Louis come out with a little bit more energy and determination in this second half. You're at home. They've had the opportunities, and Bethlehem has looked a little suspect defensively at times. And I think that they are right for the picking to get another goal here.
Ryan Howe attacked that ball that was nicely played forward. Delgard sends it back for just a moment to Emir Alihadzic. Not nearly enough on that pass, and it's a poor turnover.
Yeah, it does slow down a lot in this field turf, but you have to put a little bit more on that one there because Bethlehem is doing a pretty good job of stepping up and closing down quickly and not allowing St. Louis to have a lot of time on the ball in their own offensive area. They'll allow St. Louis to pass the ball back in the defensive half all they want right now.
Well, we've seen some action from maybe guys we didn't talk much about early in the game. Haven't seen a lot yet from either Kone or Valesky, the top 2 scorers on both sides, but maybe in the second half they'll get things rolling.
Yeah, well, we did see Valesky, unfortunately, have that goal called back on an offside. So I think when you do get him the ball, and you only did see it possibly that one time that he was able to finish on it, and I just think the flag should have never went up there. But you're right, and Kone needs to get involved some more.
USL, one of the most prominent second division leagues all across the world, featuring some of the game's top talent and rising stars. Stay up to date with all the latest league news and info on USLsoccer.com and on Twitter @USL.
to get Kone involved more in the game. That's got to start from the midfield. The captain of this team, James Chambers, Najim in that number 10 position in behind Kone, really have to get involved more to get service up to Kone. When you do play with this 4-2-3-1, if you're not getting your main striker's service, it's like you're almost down to 10 men because he's standing up there not doing anything for your team.
Adam Najim, a former 2016 Mid-American Conference Player of the Year at the University of Akron. Ali Hadzic, way too much underneath that as he sends it out of bounds. Najim was a highly touted prospect out of Paramus Catholic High School in New Jersey, and he was one of a handful of players that helped Akron build a very well-respected program across the country. And he's making himself a solid pro here at this point.
Yeah, a lot of players going high in the MLS Super Draft out of Akron, Ohio. Najim making his 8th start of the season this afternoon for Bethlehem.
Pretty late whistle. Both players seemed like they were trying to sell the foul a little bit, and then all of a sudden Ali Hadzic went down. Hopefully he's okay, although he's holding his neck. St. Louis scored on a chaotic play early in the first half, and it's the only goal that either team has put across so far. It's been enough to stand up. But things can change on a dime, especially with some of the sloppiness that we've seen from both teams here this afternoon. So it really is kind of a sit on the edge of your seat kind of day, even though some of the run of play at times has been rather clumsy.
Yeah, it has, and the wind's playing a factor. Now you saw on that opportunity from St. Louis, them skying that over. They're going to have to make that adjustment now going with the wind, so that's a big factor. The heat is a big factor in this one as well, so we'll see what team towards the end of this is able to deal with the fatigue and what sort of substitutions are made to bring on those fresh legs late in this game and see who can benefit from that the most.
Boy, Sekou Kone was putting on a clinic before he was fouled. And I think we may have a booking coming here.
Good play by Kone, and yes, the card is coming out.
It's on Stoikov.
And these are the fouls you do not want to give up in a game like this. That is so tight. There have not been a lot of scoring opportunities. Let's take another look at this. And what a move. He's just inside, outside of Stoikov, and finally forces him to stick that leg out, and he plays it well to get that free kick. And like I said, when there's not many scoring opportunities in this match, you do not want to give the visiting team set pieces in dangerous places.
Team leading 4th caution of the year issued to Stoikov. Bethlehem trusting Aaron Jones to initiate a big free kick for them deep in St. Louis territory. Lofts it toward the back post, headed high up into the air and out of bounds. It was a pretty good chance for Gorick to get his hands cleanly on it, but instead one of his teammates put it off the head, and so now in the 51st minute, we're going to have our very first corner kick of the game.
Yeah, unfortunately that did go out for the corner kick. You're right, a little bit of miscommunication there. You have to wonder what was going on there. Ended up with a corner kick.
Jones descended in shortly with the right foot toward the backside. A launched shot from outside the box, glances off the crossbar. A near miss. Bethlehem remains off the board.
Well, that's what happens when you aren't able to finish on your opportunities at one end. This second half has started very well for Bethlehem, and that's just a rocket of a shot. Gorick doesn't move, and that one rings off the crossbar. That close from Bethlehem tying this one at 1.
Bethlehem hopes that is a sign of things to come here as the second half still has a huge chunk of time remaining. Dahlgaard lost his footing, but play resumes.
And you see the importance of set pieces, and by seeing that first corner kick of the match, what developed out of that play for Bethlehem. The initial ball in was a good one, not cleared well by St. Louis, and that allowed that booming strike from just outside the box.
Conrad Pleva. Young man from Poland. Trained in Poland while he was still in college to Seton Hall, Pennsylvania. Oh boy, a terrible turnover. Sekou Kone taken down. That's an easy foul call. Kone had a breakaway to the goal. He is infuriated.
Well, and Kone wants a straight red card here. He just doesn't want the yellow. He wants a red because of the last man back rule. Was he the final person to be able to make contact here? As we take a look at that tackle, and it is Pleva who made it, and that's why he wants the red card. And that's what is the argument for sure, that they feel that St. Louis should be down to 10 men now and not just a yellow card.
James Chambers, the veteran, trying to plead his case for his team to no avail. And yet another huge opportunity. St. Louis just caught an enormous break after that turnover, and then not being able to play down a man here the rest of the way. That was a tremendous bit of good fortune for the home side. We are in the almost 55th minute. David Legorek has to really man up in goal here.
Yeah, this is a perfect opportunity here, especially from the distance. Plenty of room to be able to get this one over the wall and back down on the face of the goal from this distance.
Deflects off the wall, rolls to the corner. At least from the Steel's perspective, at least they still have possession for a moment. You don't like the way that played out?
No, I thought, again, another poor free kick. It was driven almost right into the wall. With 10 yards there, you would expect at least something to get over the wall, maybe not necessarily on goal, but disappointing when you're having it hit the wall. But in St. Louis's favor then, hey, they did their job. They set up properly and good defense.
Aaron Trusty just headed that one back over to the side. Glad to have you along. Brendan Gulick and Lee Godfrey here this afternoon from Toyota Stadium just outside of St. Louis. High scoring area. Joseph Samuel is there. It's still loose, and finally Bethlehem puts it in the net. Bethlehem Steel tie the game up. Sekou Kone does it again.
Well, it's 7th of the season, and that was just some poor defending by St. Louis. That ball bouncing around in the box, not being able to clear it out. A header there, and you know what? Kone gets that one, but that's because Gorick hesitated. I think he could have come off of his line there and been able to grab that ball or at least punch it away. He doesn't. He tracks back into his goal. It falls to Kone, and he blasts that one through a few bodies, and it has just enough on it to get over the goal line.
No foul called, play on, as Najee may have pushed down his opposition. Samuel to the middle. Chambers plays it back out. Bethlehem on the verge here of taking the lead. Samuel across, and it's caught cleanly by Gorick.
Yeah, the field certainly has tilted this half in the favor of Bethlehem. It's been a different team we've seen come out this second 45 minutes of play. You'd expect the home team to come out with a little more determination and try to push to get that second goal. But whatever was said, the adjustments made by Brendan Burke at halftime for Bethlehem have paid off.
You could see after the goal, Gorick and a couple of his teammates were all pointing and kind of yelling. I don't know if it was at or to each other, but some clear miscommunication, and it cost St. Louis dearly. Tied at 1.
Well, it happened on the play earlier as well, that where we saw the first corner kick of the game, a miscommunication because of it, and there's got to be more on that back line between those players in order to know what's going on, and those opportunities have been jumped upon by Bethlehem.
Foul called there in the 58th minute. Fans, we hope you'll stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from all around the league by tuning into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM FC, Channel 85. Game of the week in the USL also airs on that channel. Check USLsoccer.com for all the dates and times. Another whistle to stop play for just a brief moment. Another look at the goal here.
It's right here that Gorick hesitates. And Bethlehem on that ball. It was Samuel that was able to get it before Gorick could get on it and get that back to Kone. And Kone knocks it through a bunch of bodies for his 7th of the season to tie this game. And we'll see how St. Louis responds and see if they can get something back here. But really, it's been just the harder play right now by Bethlehem. More determination and a little bit more pace. They've really put St. Louis on the back foot.
Nanko, Samuel, and Kone trying to keep their foot on the gas pedal here in the second half. Dahlgaard comes back for a little assistance. Nice work. Valesky across out of harm's way for a moment. Bethlehem Steel opening up a 3-game road trip, playing without several of their typical players. Mark McKenzie, Marcus Epps, Corey Burke, all not in the starting lineup today. Also haven't seen Matt Real, who's typically out there defensively. And yet, Bethlehem Steel just tied the game, and right now they have the momentum in St. Louis. What can St. Louis do to try and tilt the field back in their favor here? This is Howe. Walls sends it over. A play toward the middle, headed in the box. Ricochets away. Looks like Hugh Roberts may be down. He got kind of tangled up in that leaping header, and he is holding his face. Hope he's okay.
Yeah, Wes Sharpie sent that ball in, and it looks like it could have been Tyler David and Hugh Roberts clashing heads.
Meanwhile, a couple of substitutions just about ready to come as Octavio Guzman and Max Alvarez each await to be entered into the game.
Preki looking to inject a little bit more life into this St. Louis side and making that double substitution.
And Bethlehem sends it far up the field. So St. Louis will throw in. Tell Bethlehem wants to be aggressive here. Things just never developed as quickly as they wanted. St. Louis seems to have settled back into a more comfortable spot. Played for a little over an hour, and so far to an even 1-1 draw. And it's a game that has featured a few bad mistakes. David in the middle, one-touch pass, a big chance and a great save by McGuire. The rebound sent out away. How about that rocket that came from Eric Cabelceta?
Just a great 1-2 at the top of the box. And there it is with Tyler David. And that shot just right on Jake McGuire. He couldn't hold on to it, though. He just palmed it out. It's cleared away by Bethlehem.
It's actually Ali Hadzic who had put it on net. Beg your pardon. Meanwhile, this is the first Electro Savings corner kick of the game for St. Louis. Big shot unleashed from a long way away, and that was not a bad idea, but never really on target. And so we will have the substitutions we anticipated. Brought to you by G&W Meats. Octavio Guzman making his 10th appearance. Guzman hasn't scored yet this year, but a good offensive threat. And here comes Max Alvarez his 8th appearance of the season. Christian Valesky has a seat, as does Tyler David. So the top 2 players offensively in the formation have both moved on.
Very interesting subs there by head coach Preki to take the 2 strikers off the pitch and bring in fresh legs. I'm not sure there's a heck of a lot more either 2 of those could have done throughout this match if you're just not getting the service. They need to do more on that attacking midfield to be able to find the players up top to get them involved in the game, or if Preki just thinks that they need to come back and do more.
Perhaps fatigue related, maybe?
It could be too, if it's that hot out there that they are just absolutely drained.
Looks like we have another substitution coming on here. Again, brought to you by G&W Meats. Looks like Josef Samuel is checking out of the game.
Santi Moore coming
Santi
in.
Moore, yep. Santi Moore, we actually kind of anticipated being in the starting lineup. Good young player that led the Charlotte Eagles of the Premier Development League to the South Atlantic Division title back in 2016. One of the best players in the league. He was among the top 40 prospects after he played his college soccer at Pfeiffer University. He's a guy that the Philadelphia Union are very high on. And Moata is coming on here in what is a big spot for him. He'll play up front as well. Again, Samuel leaves the field. And Bethlehem steal another goal and push themselves ahead here on the road. A ball played onto the backside, just out of Nanko's reach initially. Second life though, Aaron Jones. Play on. And a counterattack that never materialized.
Yeah, good job there, Bethlehem, to be able to get numbers back and defended that well. You could see Brendan Burke clapping his hands there, pleased with his team's effort defensively on this one to be able to win that throw-in.
Aaron Jones on the throw. Ball is sent forward to Najim. Changes sides of the field. Noir. Tied at 1 in the 66th minute in St. Louis. Nike's an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, please visit NikeSoccer.com. St. Louis FC. What can they do here? They need to find another goal. You talked about not moving the ball up in the flanks very much here of late. Last thing they want to do is come home and have a lead early on and not come away with any points. Perhaps something building here. Delgard has a great chance. Lets it go just over the top of the bar.
Well, he had some space open up for him, and yeah, St. Louis used that left-hand side, and they were able to find that space at the top of the box. Delgard comes in, and he just gets a little bit underneath that one, and it goes over the bar.
Another substitution coming on for the Bethlehem Steel FC. Again, brought to you by G&W Meats. Anthony Fontana checking in for Adam Najim. Fontana, a new addition to the team prior to today's game. Of course, he's going to play up in the formation, so they're going to rely on him. Now with both Samuel and Najim having left the pitch, this is a big sub coming in.
Najim not really getting involved as much in the middle in behind Kone in this game. We'll see if Fontana can make an impact on this one in the last 24 minutes plus stoppage time.
A booking coming, and it's going to go on the captain, James Chambers. Chambers backs away from the play.
Yeah, and he's okay with that. I like that at times. You don't want to go into the book, but you know what? If you go into it challenge strong and hard, you want to let the other team know that you are there. And you know what? He didn't even probably see, and that's his argument, the other player involved, is his back was to the play. So, but to take a physical card, I'm okay with it at times. Talking with Tampa Bay Rowdies head coach Stuart Campbell about what he's impressed about with fouls and cards and what he's not, and he's absolutely right. Discipline. When you have people getting suspended or getting your 4th and 5th yellow cards on arguing with a referee, you've never seen a referee in their life say, "Oh, that's right, you're right. Let me just erase that yellow card. It was my bad." A referee's never going to change his or her mind, so there's no point in getting a dumb yellow card out of it. But a lot of coaches will take the physical one if it's warranted.
That sure would be quite a sight, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Amir Alihadzic will take the free kick for St. Louis. Headed down for a moment. St. Louis keeps it alive until the whistle blown. You can see that shots have been few and far between, although we've seen more in the second half after a first half that really saw most of the play between the boxes. Preki doing his best to make sure everybody's on the same page. Legendary head coach back in St. Louis. In the 70th minute, St. Louis looking for the lead. And not on that one. It went right to Gorick, to McGuire on the fly.
Yeah, I need to be a little bit better there. I know the wind's playing in, and once again, you need to make that adjustment. They took this side of the pitch for that second half, and once they won the toss, they knew they'd have this advantage in this heat in the second half to have that wind at your back. But you have to make those adjustments with those balls into the box, because that one was just floated in right to Jake McGuire.
St. Louis has done a much better job in the second half controlling the ball. Sometimes, though, that can be misleading. And even better than those numbers indicate since the intermission. But again, has much more to do with where you're possessing the ball than that you are possessing the ball. And that's a frustrating turn of events for St. Louis. They thought they might have had something here. Instead, Sekou Kone, and the offside flag goes up, much to his dismay. Actually, that's not Kone. Oh, it sure is. I beg your pardon.
Well, again, that flag went up, and I didn't think that was offside either. He looks a little bit perplexed on why that went up. So the side judge on this side of the pitch having an off day, I would say, on a couple of calls because Kone was waiting for that ball to bounce, and I think he was going to take it on the volley and just smash it. With the whistle blew before he had that opportunity. As it was, I thought, a nice ball forward.
Ryan Howe. He must have misstruck that one. It was not really at Dahlgaard's feet. St. Louis benefited on an own goal technically in the 3rd minute. Tyler David was right there, but it was off of Ken Tribbett on its way into the net. Bethlehem got the equalizing goal from Sekou Kone in the second half. We have been locked at 1 ever since. Kone's goal came in the 56th minute, so it's been about 15 minutes from that point. We're breaking the action for just a moment, so we will remind you that you can stay up to date on the latest news in the USL, all the information from around the league. Tune in to USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM FC, Channel 85. Also, don't forget, the USL Game of the Week airs on the same channel. Please check uslsoccer.com for dates and times regarding those games of the week. High into the box, headed a couple of times, and then away from danger. Alongside Lee Godfrey, I'm Brendan Gulick. We've enjoyed our coverage here this afternoon from St. Louis. Thanks for spending your Sunday afternoon with us on the first Sunday home game of the season for St. Louis FC. They're going to hit the road for a couple games with Cincinnati and New York Red Bulls too coming up in their next couple of matches, but a big one at home first later this week in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup against Major League Soccer's Chicago Fire. And St. Louis is really hoping they can fare well in that game. Probably safe to assume that with the exception of Corey Burke's absence because he was called up to the Jamaican national team, that resting the likes of Marcus Epps, Mark McKenzie, and others might be in anticipation of trying to be at full strength for that Open Cup game.
Yeah, and bringing off Valesky when he did as well, just to get him that many more minutes of rest in this heat, so he's going to be able to rehabilitate and get the necessary rest.
Something brewing here for Bethlehem. Kone so quick with his feet, makes a good pass up top. Matthews with a rocket and a goal! James Chambers puts Bethlehem on top.
What an outstanding strike and what a great play inside the box as Kone has the vision to be able to see James Chambers coming in at the top, and he points at him right there. He goes, that was it. That was a great pass. And that's how you set that one up. And just that little touch back as no one marked James Chambers' great vision by Kone to see him coming up, and he just rockets that with the left foot. Look at the bend on that ball right around Gorick to give Bethlehem a 2-1 lead.
James Chambers, the captain. Will it stand up for Bethlehem on the road? A win for the Steel could put them all the way into a tie for 6th. And the 1-0 lead that St. Louis had throughout the entire first half and 10 minutes into the second half has now completely evaporated.
And Preki will not be happy with this whatsoever when really you have the only offense that you've produced today has been by an own goal and some pretty sloppy defending by Bethlehem. And in the second half, the away team has come out and done fantastically well. Preki making a couple substitutions, trying to get some new blood out onto the pitch to make a difference. But as we take a look at the highlights so far in this game, and here is the goal that we are talking about. It is left out by McGuire, and David gets a piece of it, but it's the own goal on Tribbett. You see there, he's not able to clear that ball. The early lead, and they're all smiles at that point, Brendan, but after really a first half that didn't see many opportunities on goal, Bethlehem's done a fantastic job in this second half on the road in this heat.
We've seen some pretty physical play. This was a great early look for Steel FC. Ken Tribbett off target though. Another look at this basically one hop pass that he just misstruck ever so slightly. Aaron Jones thought this might be the chance that popped up, and another one that barely missed, just grazing off the top of the crossbar. That came from Aaron Jones, a defensive teammate in the back there, Charlie Raymond. Ball's headed around. This one eventually turned into a disaster for St. Louis FC. Sekou Kone tied the game at 1 apiece.
Yeah, Gorick hesitating to come off of his line right there, and then he backs up, and it falls to Kone wide open for his 7th of the season, and then it is Kone again dropping it back for Chambers, and he just rockets that one with the left foot. Look at the bend on that ball. Just a beautifully executed strike by the captain.
James Chambers has seen his career take him all over the globe. Played in 7 different places across, all across the European continent. Everything kind of runs through him in the middle of the field for Bethlehem. And boy, did they get a big goal from him. So now it's go time for St. Louis. Remember, it's been the Steel that have given up 3 goals this year in the final 15 minutes of regulation. The last 2 have cost them a game. And so now they have a chance to maybe atone for that with a 2-1 lead. Starting a road trip, obviously 1 point when you're on the road, not terrible. But when you got 3 points in the bag with less than 15 minutes to go in regulation, you can't afford to let that one slip away. And St. Louis, who's been good at home all year, still feels like they're still in this game.
Yeah, you're right, because you look at their last home game, conceding to Ottawa right at about this time. I believe it was around the 77th minute of play that Ottawa tied that match at home, so that would have been a 3. Here you're sitting on 3, so when you could have walked out of 2 games with 6 points as opposed to taking home 2, that makes a big difference.
All right, we've got a big play here kind of coming about on Bethlehem's side. Chris Nanko can't really figure a way around the defense. By the way, we had a G&W Meats substitution a couple of minutes ago. Mats Bjurman checked in for Sebastian Dalgar. St. Louis FC really can't make anything out of it. So Octavio Guzman, Max Alvarez, and Mats Bjurman have all checked in the offensive half of the formation for St. Louis FC here in the second half. Have to wait and see how this all shakes out, though, with just about 10 minutes left in regulation. St. Louis with just a few passes back and forth as the ball leaves the screen for a moment. Apologize for some of the technical difficulties. Bethlehem 2, St. Louis 1. All of a sudden, a crowd that early in the game was very much a part of things, feeling a little frustrated now that the home team has fallen behind. Tony Walls gives it far side, Stoikov. Played toward the middle. A header on the backside, and it misses wide left. Mats Bjurman darn near put St. Louis back into a tie game.
Yeah, what a way to come into this game as a sub, and he's down on the ground now after hitting the ground very hard after going up and trying to get that header.
While he's being attended to, looks like we have a substitution on the Bethlehem Steel side. Brought to you by G&W Meats. Chris Nanko leaving the field of play. Josh Hurd on for his 6th appearance of the year. All of them he's come on as a substitute. He's only played 66 minutes this season coming in, but they must like what he can bring late in the game.
Yeah, Hurd out of the University of Washington, 74 games, starting 50 of those in 4 seasons with the Huskies, selected by the Vancouver Whitecaps in the 2016 Super Draft, 71st overall. He never went there, chose to sign with the Steel instead.
St. Louis, another opportunity. Was well defended by Hugh Roberts.
You're going to see now St. Louis having to take some chances, being down a goal at home. They're going to be throwing everything forward and seeing if Bethlehem can defend and hold them off for the last 8 minutes plus stoppage time here. That's going to open up some opportunities for Bethlehem as well on the counterattack, with St. Louis forced to put more bodies forward.
I don't want to dig up an old comment, but I think it's fair to mention, Lee, St. Louis, I'm sure they're not thinking about it actively. They're fortunate to be playing at full strength because they should be down a man after a yellow card was issued earlier in the game when Sekou Kone basically had a breakaway. I think you could make the argument that a red card was in play. Never issued, though, and so St. Louis still at full strength.
Yeah, it was a yellow card for the foul on Pleva. I don't remember, I couldn't quite see who the other defender for St. Louis was and where his position was, just to see 100% if Pleva was that last man back. And if he was the last man back, that should have been a direct red card for stopping Koenig to go in on that breakaway. But in the referee's mind, there must have been another defender that still could have got or caught up to Koenig and make a play.
Into the middle. Maybe something brewing now for St. Louis. A shot deflected off to the right. And as it rolls harmlessly toward the corner, we have a corner kick coming for St. Louis. That's brought to you by the Electro Savings Company. Meanwhile, we invite you to check out NikeSoccer.com because Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. A great opportunity for St. Louis FC to pull even.
Now looks like there's some play happening in the box to delay this.
Played in by Alvarez, headed over the top. St. Louis FC wants to maintain the pressure quickly, so they waste no time putting it back in. Played over the back, Alvarez keeps it in play. Stoikov. Faked out one defender, but not a second. Great sliding stop by Hugh Roberts. But yet another Electro Savings corner kick.
Now here comes that pressure now. We didn't see much of this from St. Louis in the first half, and now they're getting a few corner kicks here, set piece opportunities.
Alvarez with a low corner, snuck through somehow unscathed. Or maybe it glanced off of someone from the steal because St. Louis appears like they'll be able to throw in. And a foul whistle. Not a corner kick, but essentially works out as such. You can hear some of the fans in the background in St. Louis a little frustrated. In the 85th minute, a header near the cage and it goes away. Bethlehem just trying to get it out of danger. And on top of that, maybe mounting something as we get a foul for just a moment.
Yeah, that's going to be a booking as well.
It is coming here as soon as our official can identify who he wants. The yellow card is given. Friends, after the final whistle, head over to twitter.com/STLFC to vote for your Pleats Man of the Match. Again, that's twitter.com/STLFC. Kone tripped in the corner. A throw in for St. Louis.
There's Cabosetta with the booking there for St. Louis. Bethlehem will be happy to keep the ball down at this end of the pitch and just allow time to run off here and try to hold on to what would be a massive victory and 3 points for them on the road.
Again, a win for Bethlehem Steel would move them to 5-6. They've got 13 points on the year so far. There is one tie, by the way, between these two organizations. One of the assistant coaches for the Philadelphia Union, Mike Sorber, is being inducted later this year into the St. Louis Soccer Hall of Fame. An induction coming on October the 19th. Who's the first person to play for the U.S. men's national team at a World Cup and then later serve on a World Cup coaching staff with Team USA. He played for the men's national team in the 1990 World Cup and was an assistant with Bob Bradley during the 2010 World Cup. 67 caps for his country from 1992 to 1998. where he returned to his alma mater, St. Louis University, in the early 2000s as an assistant coach. But again, going into the St. Louis Hall of Fame later this summer. He is the one of the assistants for the parent club for Bethlehem Steel. St. Louis trying desperately to come up with something here before they are bumped up against stoppage time. One last time, we remind you to stay up to date with all the latest news and information from around the league. Tune in to Coast with Mike Watts, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM FC, Channel 85. They will also air the Game of the Week, and you can check times on that, uslsoccer.com.
Well, here's an opportunity right now that St. Louis has been looking for. You don't want to give up fouls in these locations, especially at this time. This is getting down to it, and this is a great free kick opportunity for St. Louis to try to salvage at minimum a draw here at home.
Octavio Guzman, one of the couple players standing over the ball. How does St. Louis FC choose to make this work? Wind is at St. Louis's back. You can see the flags there on the top of your screen just whipping around. Bethlehem tries to build their wall. Low strike, dribbles wide of the pole.
Yeah, that was Ali Hodzic. Just a little tap there by Guzman, just to give a little bit more space to try to get that past the wall, but you want to get that on the face of goal at this point in the game.
Bethlehem with no reason to rush. Jake McGuire takes his time. We'll have to see how much stoppage time is added. Again, probably expecting 3 to 4 minutes, especially given the break for the hydration back about 20 minutes ago. Nice little through ball chipped up there. Josh Hurd, who recently checked in for Chris Nanko. Sekou Kone put it off of one of the St. Louis players, so it stays with the men in white.
Yeah, and now you just see Bethlehem here very slow to get this going, and you can see the referee telling him to speed that play up a little bit as the 5 minutes of stoppage goes up.
Stoppage time brought to you by Hot Shots. Be sure to visit one of the 12 local Hot Shots locations after the match this afternoon. The rest of the road trip for Bethlehem includes stops at New York to play Red Bulls 2 and in Harrisburg to play the Harrisburg City Islanders. They've already played Harrisburg twice this year, losing 3-2 back on April 15th and beating Harrisburg on May 28th, 3-1. But that 3-2 loss was a frustrating one. And I guarantee you Bethlehem feels like they owe Harrisburg one after they gave up a goal in the last couple of minutes of action, losing that game. Meanwhile, St. Louis were really able to put enough touch on that ball and it just sort of rolled off the turf.
Yeah, very frustrating, you can see there. St. Louis need to be a little bit more direct now. They have to put those balls over the top and have those forwards running onto it, because right now Bethlehem doing a good job of keeping them outside and keeping them wide and not allowing them to come through the middle. So you're going to have to start putting balls over the top and taking chances to try to get something on goal here as time is running out for St. Louis.
St. Louis FC possessing, pressing, big chance, the ball just squeaked by the keeper but wide of the net. McGuire came out, he was right there with Hugh Roberts and Austin Trusty, his two interior defenders, and nearly a back-breaking goal from Octavio Guzman.
Yeah, Guzman running into it. They do earn the corner kick, though.
It's an Electro Savings corner kick. To the backside, the header cleared away. Another one set back up over the top of McGuire. No call. And McGuire is down.
And he's saying there was a collision. Now, I wonder if the collision was after the ball went through his arms. Have another look at this as he goes up. And yeah, you know what? That should have never have counted if there was contact, and it looked like there was. Was it Tony Walls that got his arm up and in the way and pulled it down? And that's why that ball went through the hands of Jake McGuire, because of that contact.
Brendan Burke sitting with a rather content look on his face. I imagine he's probably hoping that Father Time will tick a little faster.
He took a good knock there. You see he's bleeding. He probably cut his lip with his teeth on that collision. And this will add a minute minimum more on to this 5 minutes of added time.
McGuire, not too much worse for the wear. And he sends it away. Bethlehem blasts it as far as they can with that stiff wind holding the ball up. Sekou Kone at the game tying goal. James Chambers with his second goal of the season came in the 74th minute. Is it enough to win the game? Good effort there from Alvarez and from Mats Bjurman. Ryan Howe. With time winding down. Pounded at Bjurman's feet. Now Guzman. Back out to Cabelceta. He keeps it in play for just a moment. Pleva changes sides of the pitch. Stoppage time winding to a close. Maybe about a minute remaining. St. Louis running out of time. They've got to go here.
Yeah, much more direct now. Just get that ball into the box because you have no idea when they are going to blow that whistle.
Guzman can't get off a clean look. And a goal kick.
Good effort here by Bethlehem Steel. A fantastic second half by the side, coming into St. Louis down a goal after 45 minutes of play and having the better of opportunities, scoring twice, hitting a crossbar, and they've really held off St. Louis. Not too many quality chances on goal at all in this game, as the goal coming as an own goal. Preki won't be happy with the fact that they haven't been able to generate a lot offensively today.
There's the final whistle. We have reached full time. And the Bethlehem Steel FC overcome a halftime deficit. Goals from Sekou Kone on his 7th of the year and James Chambers on a tremendous feed from Kone. Bethlehem Steel takes the win on the road and 3 very valuable points. They move to 5-6-1 on the season. St. Louis FC falls to 4-4-3. A frustrating close for St. Louis. 2-1 the final. Post-game coverage coming up next from St. Louis.
Stop living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/knee pain.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red, the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
pre-collision system, lane departure alert, and more. Toyota Safety Sense is an advanced suite of active safety technology, now standard at no extra cost on 14 Toyota models. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Get 0% APR financing for 72 months on a new RAV4, or get $2,000 customer cash. Toyota, let's go places.
Stop living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/knee pain.
Not really the way St. Louis hoped this one would conclude, given that they had a 1-0 lead at the intermission. But that third-minute goal they scored was the only offense they could muster all game long, as Bethlehem Steel comes on the road and steals a 2-1 victory from St. Louis FC. A look at the highlights now from the match.
You see all smiles on the bench there as we do look at these full-time highlights. And a good start from St. Louis FC off that Stoikov free kick. Ken Tribbett unable to clear this one off the line and ends up putting it into his own goal. And all smiles from David and company. But Bethlehem Steel did manage a few opportunities, nothing directly on target, but they always seem to be around in the game. Some free kick opportunities, that one from Tribbett, and just getting the outside of his foot there, not able to get it on target. But, you know, after weathering that storm, I thought Bethlehem dealt with not having the possession that St. Louis FC had, but they were the more dangerous team on the day. They took advantage of what little opportunities that they had.
Unquestionably, they almost scored here on Kone's laser that just crept over the top of the crossbar.
We talked about the wind, that certainly played a role there, and then they slowly started to generate the opportunities. It's a great ball back and another shot, and that one takes a deflection and goes off the crossbar. And there you see where a little bit of controversy there as Pleva takes down Kone. Kone asking for the straight red as last man back, just gets the yellow.
Off the throw-in from Aaron Jones, a couple headers around, a ball that gets jarred on a rebound into no man's land. Kone was the right man for the job, and he puts it home to tie the game for Bethlehem.
There you see the hesitation by Gorick there. He wants to come out, and then he goes back into his goal onto the crease, and that ball just falls to a wide-open Kone.
Well, and the awareness from Kone on that rebound to actually backpedal and give himself a chance at a good look. Then you get a yellow card here issued to James Chambers, but it wouldn't be long before he would make up for that.
Yeah, great little work here from Kone to have the vision to see Chambers just outside of the box, and what a curling ripper for the game-winning goal.
That was a really authoritative game-winning shot from James Chambers. As you get a look at the final numbers here, St. Louis will see that possession heavily favor them, and that probably frustrates them more than anything else. Not only that, the 2 goals were the only 2 shots on target for Bethlehem.
Yeah, and I thought maybe an offside calling back a goal for Fileski in the first half, and that may have changed the whole tone of the game for the away team. You may have seen Bethlehem just pack it up and decide, let's go on to the next game. It doesn't happen, and they're still in it, and so they are able to come back and get those 2 massive second-half goals for a well-deserved 3 points on the road.
Fileski and Tyler David both checked out of the game in the second half. Both played okay, but it's Bethlehem who comes away with the big win on the road. They start their 3-game road trip with 3 huge points. All right, St. Louis FC will go onto the road. I should say they will host Chicago coming up next. Some final highlights here on a fun afternoon from Toyota Stadium. It's a game coming up against the Chicago Fire on Wednesday this week in the 4th round of the U.S. Open Cup. They're the next thing up for St. Louis. For Andrew Firestein, our producer, Tom Piro, our director, and for Lee Godfrey, I'm Brendan Gulick. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Bethlehem Steel, a 2-1 winner in St. Louis.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.